Hello and welcome to Coach and Go. My name is Jim Delman. I'm checking in with a new haircut. No, I'm just kidding. This is Stevie from the GTO team. Happy to be with you today and filling in for Jim. Today, we're going to be talking all about GTO automations you should be using more. And before I bring on my guest today, I'm going to run through a couple formalities here. Just, please visit our website, Group Travel Odyssey, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about us. And also, we got a lot of great things happening on social media. So be sure to check us out on YouTube, LinkedIn, and like us on Facebook. Well, enough of that. Let me bring on Corey. He's our expert today. Corey, it's great to see you. How you doing?
Hey, Stevie. Good to see you.
So today we're talking about GTO automations that, users might want to kind of get into a little bit more. Why did you think that was sort of an important topic to dive into today?
So when I'm dealing with our members, a lot of times what happens is they don't think a little bit globally about GTO. GTO, along with being a tool, is also a process by which you can to increase your business, to help workflows, to make things smoother. And so sometimes we forget about stuff because they get lost in the day to day, right? So they building a trip, getting it over to Trip Manager, booking that trip, and you're doing all these things, and you forget that there's a lot of things that we can do to make your life easier. I always say that when you come to GTO, you're not willing to do a little bit of changing on how you do things, then you're coming to GTO sort of for the wrong reason, because what you're thinking is that we're just Excel on steroids. But really, since we're sort of we're a workflow too, you sort of have to adapt a little bit to what you're doing. But that doesn't mean that GTO can adapt to how you work as well, because it can. It's just a lot of people don't know that those options occur. So I was coming on today to sort of talk about those options as far as what we can do to make your life easier.
Well, cool. I think it's going to be a really great topic and a great episode. Corey, the floor is yours. Where do you want to take us first?
To a totally not related topic. That's where I want to go first. We I did want to mention that we had a little not a problem, but sort of a glitch in our system that occurred every now and then. Most members wouldn't have noticed it at all, but occasionally it occurred, and so we had to come up with a fix for that, which is how we work. We move very quickly. I've gone to a demo trip here, so I'm just going to go in sales into proposals to talk about that. What I'm talking about is a new edit button on your listing of products. So it's both here under your product report, and when you're adding products, it's also here. You'll notice we took the pencil away and we've added an edit button. And that's the only difference. So even though this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, I wanted to mention it because it is a little bit of a difference. And that edit button will take you to the exact same page you would have edited before. And I just realized that I wasn't sharing a single thing on my screen.
I was just typing in the private chat, but it's all good.
Let me present my screen. It's been a while. Christina's been doing these the entire time lately, and I'm out of practice is basically what it is. Let's see how we do now. Now can we see my screen?
There it is.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm so sorry. So let's go back. Under a proposal, I have a test account here. And basically, under the list of products, we have a new edit button. We've taken away the pencil icon and created an edit button. It works exactly the same as the pencil icon did. It takes you to the page. Nothing has changed for you, except that you'll need to click the edit button instead of the pencil icon. It occurs both here on your list and also in the add products section. You'll see the new edit button. So just so you're aware of that, again, nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I did want to sort of mention it to everyone so that they had a reference point to notice the change and wonder why. All right, so on to the show. I wanted to mention to everybody that there are automations that can help you in sales and save you a lot of time. A lot of what we do is we add products, and sometimes that gets a little tedious, especially on long trips. You're thinking, how can I make this easier? And the way you can make that easier is by telling us what products go on every trip. So you see this, by the way, when you add a product for, say, like if we were to add a Disney product, that Disney product will then create other products underneath that. So you don't have to. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to add a Disney product to sort of show you how that works. If you've So we're gonna choose Disney World Youth. We're gonna choose a three-day park to park. Sure, we'll do this one. Looks good. And we'll just go ahead and save it. And so what happens is in the background, you're like, well, now I have to add it says a 3-day ticket, and I only added one product for it. I have to have 2 days worth of itinerary language. Well, what we've gone ahead and done, and this is all something we already know. What we've done is we've said, all right, well, when we add our Disney product, let's add that document wording already. So basically now all you have to do is you have a 3-day ticket and you put the ticket on one day, you use the other 2 days on the other 2 days, so that we've automated that for you. You don't have to go add the other packages. But I need you to think more globally when you're doing that. What do you have on every trip? Do you have a tour guide on every trip? If you did, by the way, if you didn't know this, if you have a tour guide on every trip, we can add that tour guide automatically for you. You don't have to add them. Unless the prices are different, right? So there's some caveats to this. We'll talk about it in a minute. Let's say you have just a standard product for your lanyards or some sort of gift or some sort of fee that you charge that you want to make sure it gets on every trip. We can automate that so that when you create the proposal, it will come in. For instance, here's a thing called standard items. Now we're going to use the standard items later in our talk, but I went ahead and when I created the trip, it added it automatically, right? So you can have these things created automatically. We have lots of our members utilizing this, but maybe not to its fullest extent. And all you have to do is ask yourself, what do I have on most trips? Because if you don't want it on your trip, it's so much easier to just click on it and delete it than it is to add it again. So if you've got 10 things that are on every trip, but you come across that one trip that doesn't have 5 of them, it's so much easier to click the 5 of them and delete them than it is to create all 10 of them every time, right? So we're making your life easier at that point in time. So if you said to yourself, all right, well, if I choose a destination of Orlando, I want it to always say this. We can do that. Now, the caveats are this. If you have things with different prices, that gets to be a little sketchy. So for instance, if you say, well, if I'm going to New York, it's this price. And if I'm going to Atlanta, it's this price, then we get into a little bit more of a problem. But if you have the same price for your tour directors and you add a tour director to everyone, great. If you have a positioning cost for the tour director on every trip, if you have, and it's hard. I mean, the sky's the limit as to what you might include on every trip. And so we can add them. Just like we did the secondary wording for these Walt Disney World products, right? So be thinking about what is it that I can do to make my life easier while adding products. I've been building a lot of trips here lately for people, just showing demos and things of that nature. And I want to say, okay, when I'm in the demo, I need to tell them, now we can just add this automatically. We don't have to wait for you to add it on every trip and to remember to add it and things like that. Then all you have to do is go place them on the days that you want them, right? So that's one use of an automation to make your life so much easier. Now let's switch gears a little bit. In Trip Manager, where the booking takes place, right? So many people ask, why is it a separate module? It's a separate module because you're shifting gears out of sales and into booking. You've sold this. Now you just got to get some stuff done. So we wanted a separate place where we can get stuff done, right? And by doing that, you could forget something, right? You're selling so many trips, things are flying at you left and right. You don't know what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And we've got you covered on that. So we're going to take the same trip. We're going to go to Trip Manager. So here we are back at our testing account for Charlotte. And this has the same products that we had before. Carowinds, Buca de Beppo. Now, I pushed this over before I added the Disney products, so that's why the Disney products aren't showing up here, is because I've already committed the trip and sent it over. Just as a reminder, if that had occurred in real life, then you would have added it by adding a new product here and not in sales, because you always want to keep sales what you sold to the customer originally, and then any changes you make would be here. So we have this list, and we're ready to do our booking. But when do I request booking? I don't know. When do I need to do any of it? Well, we can standardize tasks based upon the kind of product that you have added to a trip. So here we have a dining and a hotel and a motor coach and an attraction. And if I look at my tasks, okay, I'm going to see that each one of those has generated some tasks. Right. And I just created these tasks, by the way, this morning. So it's very easy to do, not hard to figure out. Right. So in my dining tasks, I have the first one, which is book it now. I like to name my things fun things, not just request reservation, but I want to book it now. I don't have a date on it because I'm going to do it, now. Right. So I don't need a date on it. And then I said, or we had already set up originally the dietary requirements to a restaurant. We had set that out so many days from the travel. And then you better confirm this so many days out from travel. So let's look. This is traveling now, the May 29th. It's a trip that's already gone, apparently. May 29th, right? And this is coming in at the 19th. So it looks like this was probably 30, 40 days, right? So you can see that you can also set when your tasks are due if you have a general idea. You want to confirm it so many days away. You want the dietary restrictions to be so many days away. And we can even say, book it now, so many days away from the trip. But usually you want to do that, now. Now, attractions, the same thing. I have a book it now and you better confirm this. But under hotel, we don't want the hotel. We've already confirmed our hotel. We booked it before we sold it. Otherwise, we weren't going to get that hotel. So we added one called hotel confirmation. And then came standard items. And if you wondered what standard items was, that's a trigger in sales. We add it to a trip in Sales Manager. And when you pull it over into Trip Manager, we actually, that will actually kick out tasks that are for every trip that are not related to a product. So we have to create packets for the trip. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we have a standard item, and what it'll do is it will create the tasks that we just need to do on every trip and when we should do them. So again, we set a date out to create these packets on such and such, and you can have a list of them. So you can imagine that on long trips, you'd have a list of these tasks that's a mile long. But we can also create a calendar for you. So in reality, all you have to do is look at the day that you're on and do the tasks that are there. And then you don't have to worry about how many trips do I have? Where do I need to go to find that stuff? There's a calendar that will tell you all the things that are due on that day. So on the 19th, it's going to show you, you better confirm this, you better confirm this, and those will be the two. And then it will show you that you better confirm this on every other trip that is starting on this trip day. And so you'll get them all done. You won't miss a trip because of that. And we automate those. Can you hand go in and do these? Sure, I can add a task right here. So no problems there. But if you do that, you're spending a lot of time. That again, let's say just for instance, that you didn't need to send dietary requirements to this restaurant because Buca de Beppo already knows, or whatever. Then you could literally click on it and delete it easier than you could add one. So you add more than you want, take away the ones that you don't use. You just need to use it on most of your trips. And nothing in the system explodes because you've skipped one. It might turn red. It might try to alert you, but it won't like it's not going to stop the trip from happening. It's not going to stop you from booking anything. So if you ignored one, you could do that as well instead of deleting it. That way you knew that the task was supposed to be done at some point in time. So those are tasks. And in fact, if you apply this to other parts of the system, in group accounting, for instance, you can create tasks. And I believe that it will create tasks for people when you add a payable to tell people that something needs to be paid and when it needs to be paid. Which brings me to item number 3, which are notifications for something that happens in the system. So we're going to go over here to add activity. I'm not going to add an activity, but when you do add an activity, and I'm back in sales now, where a lot of activities occur, but this could occur in any part of the system that you want. So I'm going to do a sales activity, and I was going to add one. And let's say it's some sort of a task. I'm just going to assign, but I want to assign it to another person. So here's the listing in my company. So I'm going to assign it to Karina. When I do that, Karina's going to get an email that says I assigned it to her, because I could assign her tasks all day long, but if she doesn't look at it, it's not going to matter. So what I can do is I can say, oh, okay, well, I'll assign it to Christina, and the system will automatically send her a message that she has this task to do, and I've assigned it to her. She can come in and deal with the task. Because if you don't, then the task is just assigned to you, whoever's doing the task. So you don't have to change it. And this occurs, by the way, system-wide, but let me say that you could apply it to other parts of the system. Any activity that occurs in the system and you want to be notified about that, or you want someone else to be notified about that, can be added as an automation to your process. So for instance, I create a new proposal, and I have a supervisor that wants to track how many proposals are being created in a day. Now I could do that by a report. So we could just create a report that's, proposals created today, and they could go look. Or I could send them, and every time I create a proposal, it could send them an email notification that I created a proposal. It could send someone an email notification that you've committed a trip and set it on to someone else to do something with. Or to send to the boss that you've sold that trip, so that they can send you all the money in the world that you deserve for selling that trip. You could, when you complete a task, it can send an email to someone saying you completed that task. You have to use a little bit of imagination. And what we don't want to do, what we don't like to do, is stop and go, what is my process and how can I make it better? Right? What we do is we just do the process that we've just come accustomed to, with repetition, and we go with it. But if you have a moment to stop with your staff, or if it's just you, or if it's you and just a couple of other people, to sit down and go, what is the process that we can utilize to make GTO work better for us? And that's really the gist of it. Is you can do task creation, you can do trip product creation, you can do activity creation, or some sort, like you can create activities, which is something I failed to mention. So when you create a proposal as well, you can create an activity to tell you to do something several days from now. So if you set a I will say, all right, proposal status. Lots of people have asked me about proposal status and why there are so many. So in fact, when I want to change the proposal status, I have this list of them. Most people, a proposal starts at opportunity and ends at commitment or inactive. And no one likes to use the ones in the middle. But here's what's beneficial about using the ones in the middle. So let's say I like to send a proposal out and move it to presentation. I've presented it to someone, and I can then create an activity for me to reach out again to check on that person 3 days from now. So you won't forget about it, right? 3 days from now, you'll get an activity reminder. I mean, you can even get it to remind you have an activity due, or you can look at your activities. You can do any of that and go, oh, well, I need to check on Bob and see if he likes my proposal. And then you'll do that. Nothing falls through the cracks when you've automated a process. The same thing when you're ready to, if it could go into pending, if someone needs to look at it before it goes to final commitment, you can use these for whatever you'd like. Lots of people just use opportunity and commitment. That's the minimum that you have to do to use the system. But if you utilize the other ones, you could automate a process by which other people can come in and look at your proposal, double check your work, you send out reminders to do something. You just have to think about what it is you want it to do. So you have those creations as well. So you can create activities, and then when you're in an activity, you can send out notifications. You can notify anyone of any change that you've made in something in the system. So how you want to use that is now in your hands. And when you're first learning the system, you've got a lot to learn. And so you don't really take the time to think about those things. And a lot of people have said to me, I hear what you're saying on that. Let me get used to using the system first, and then we'll come back to you. And then a lot of people forget to come back to us and say, all right, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'd like to utilize it. But the people that do are getting, like 100% more out of the system than they're getting now. Like, it's a useful tool on its own, but using those automations is going to ramp up how you can do things.
I love it. You talked about a lot of really great, helpful stuff. This might sound like a goofy question, but if anyone has any specific questions about some of the topics you went over today, what's the best way to get in touch with us to reach out and learn more about it?
Right. Because if you've got those ideas, now you want to know, how do we get in touch with someone about that? There's a couple of different ways. But the best and quickest way, the way that everyone gets eyes on it, is to sending an email to help@gtonetwork.com. If you put help in the subject line, and all you have to say is, I'd like to talk to somebody about automating my process, then that's going to get seen by all of us. You could send it to me. You could send it to Christina. You could send it to Kyle. Anybody on the development team you could do that. But if you really want to work on them the quickest, with everybody's eyes on it, that's the way to do it.
Perfect. You feel like you covered pretty much everything we wanted to go over today?
Yeah, I do. If people are interested, reach out. This is a powerful tool that's ready to energize what's happening for you.
Yeah, I love it. I think it was a really great conversation, and thanks for showing us everything in the system that you could today. Just a real quick reminder for everyone out there. I know I've been putting up the banners as we've been talking today, but please visit our website, Group Travel Odyssey, to learn even more about, what we can do and how we can help your business. And, please subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on LinkedIn, and like us on Facebook. We're always putting out really great and helpful content for everyone out there that I would encourage you to take a look at, because I think it'll help you maybe use the system a little bit better than you may be already using. So great. Well, I think that about does it, right, Corey?
It does. We're no Jim and Christina, but I think we're okay.
I think we filled in. I think we did enough. We did all right. And I really enjoyed having you on today. And I think we'll go ahead and hit that CNG outro button and call it a day. Thanks, Corey.
Take care.
Thank you for watching this episode of GTO Coach and Go. We invite you to stay connected with Group Travel Odyssey on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, and be sure to check out more of our media, including Destination Dispatch and the Destinations Beyond Expectations podcast. Please visit our website, grouptravelodyssey.com, where you can learn more about GTO and request a demo. Group Travel Odyssey, business without boundaries.